Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. It is now a worldwide experience here with Just as Planned. So I am broadcasting today with a friend, a colleague, an amazing wedding industry expert, Lucy Bennett. How are you, Lucy?
I'm really good. Thank you.
I'm so excited that you are guest hosting with me for Just as Planned, where we are reaching out to brides and grooms across the world and just giving them information and tools to help them plan their weddings. And so for you, I know so much about you, but let's share everything with our guests here. So tell me, name of your business and where you are.
So my business is called the Boutique Wedding Co. You can find us online by searching boutique weddings in Spain, and I'm based in Spain, as the name tells you.
I love it. So someone looking to do a destination wedding in Spain, you can reach out to Lucy. She is the expert in the area. How long have you been doing weddings, Lucy?
Wow, I've worked in the wedding industry since 2006, so really long time. I've been planning weddings because before I was a photographer, planning weddings since 2014 here in Spain.
I forgot you were a photographer first, and then you
Yeah.
planning.
I'm a woman of many skills, as my clients get to see on the wedding days. Like literally, I have many skills.
I love it. Yes, you have many skills. We've actually come together and done an international wedding festival together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was over a year ago now.
I know coaching. Oh my goodness, you're amazing. Your talents are amazing. So your specialty obviously is destination weddings in Spain. Tell me a little bit about some of your favorite moments in wedding planning in anywhere in the world.
So, first of all, like to tell you a little bit about destination weddings in Spain as such, because some people think, okay, like who comes? Is it Americans? Is it English? Who is it? But it is everybody. It is everybody. So we have people from all over the world. And the beauty of Spain is that many people who have, for example, left the UK or left Ireland to go and live a more exotic life, maybe in Dubai, Australia, or America, will come to Spain because they want to have a wedding in the sun. And also, quite often, our couples are multicultural and international. They might have the bride from one part of the world and the groom from another part of the world. And Spain just happens to be a nice neutral place where they can come and celebrate their wedding. So, for example, today I'm having a call later with a couple who are booked for 2022, and he is from Ireland, she is from the US, and they are moving to to London together. So this is kind of like the international kind of logistics of what the wedding people are like who come to Spain to get married. You know, it's truly international.
I love that. That's such a great story. I mean, how romantic. It's like two countries merging together on a new adventure in a new city. So how cool is that? How many people, like what is your average wedding in Spain?
It depends. It could be 20 people up to like 200 or 300. I haven't really seen more than 200 personally, because we don't tend to do large weddings. We are boutique weddings, so our weddings tend to be the smaller sizes, like 80, 100, 150, you know, that kind of size. Those bigger weddings tend to be other wedding planners that want to look after that kind of thing. For me, it's more about the boutique thing. But you'll be surprised at how many guests travel from across the world to come to Spain for their, you know, for the couple, for the people that they love. So it's amazing.
I love that. And how far like is from the airport? If people are coming into you and you're working with them, like your destination locations, how far is travel for them?
So for us, the Boutique Wedding Co., we work in only Andalucía. We don't work across Spain. The reason that we do that is that decor is very important to us. So we like to be within a 3-hour drive of our home location or our office location, which is in our home, like most wedding planners. And throughout Andalucía, we've got Granada, Seville, Jerez, Gibraltar, which is actually obviously part of the UK, but it's in southern Spain, and Malaga airports. So we have got 5 airports. that are really easy international connections to Madrid, or Malaga, Seville, and Jerez all have direct flights from the UK and Ireland as well. But if people are coming internationally from Australia, from America, from Dubai, they can come into Madrid and really easily, literally, little walk, jump on the next flight down to Seville, down to Jerez, or down to Malaga. And it's so comfortable. It really is. You don't have to leave the airport. You literally, little walk along. I actually really enjoy the transfer through Madrid airport. I usually have a nice sushi lunch, get a Starbucks, all the things that I miss out on living in the deep south of Spain.
I understand that. I find myself often lost when I'm going through Heathrow. I love that airport so much. I think I could just spend like a weekend in the airport.
Completely. I don't know what it is about us wedding planners, but we love an airport.
Oh, it's crazy. But it is so fun to welcome people to like your home area, like to share with them. You know, people pick locations sometimes that they've never even visited.
Yeah.
And so it's awesome. I've been a destination planner as well for years, as you know, and I always loved sharing the things that people had no idea about. And it always felt so easy for me. But when you welcome these people, it's just really cool to share everything and share your knowledge and all the locations. And you do that as well. So if we have brides and grooms watching, you actually do like a site visit with them. They can come and visit first. You can show them all of the places. How does that work?
Yeah, so they come. I mean, generally, when it's 50-50 really, whether people book a venue without seeing it in person or not. It was really weird. Before COVID, we got to the point where no one would come anymore. Before, they'd just come for the tasting, come and visit the venue. They'd book it online with us. But after COVID, I think people lost trust in everything a little bit. So now everyone wants to come and see the venue before they book it. So then they have to have another trip for the tasting, you know. But we love it. They come, we take them to the venue, they'll do their tasting. It might be that they're just coming for the venue choosing trip, in which case we'd go for lunch, and we will always share with them some of the delicacies of Spanish cuisine that they just will never find without really knowing. So I know people who've lived in Andalucía for 20 years and haven't experienced some of the incredible food that I experience because I live with a Spaniard, you know, because I'm with somebody who culturally he's very into the Spanish food and the lifestyle. So, you know, if somebody phones my house between 4 p.m. and 6 p.m., it's like, seriously? Siesta time. What do they think they're doing? So we're very Spanish in my house, and we love to share that with our clients as well, you know, showing them all the gorgeous cuts of meat that they will just never find anywhere else other than Andalucía, you know.
Oh, that's amazing. I can't wait to visit you. I want to experience all of those culinary delights. And that's the other great thing about destination weddings, is that you do have that influence of wherever you're going. And you want to share that with all of your guests, because chances are they probably are not going to be getting back to an area like you're in unless they're planning their own personal vacation after the wedding.
Yeah, completely. And most people do have a little vacation. They come for, some people think, oh, I'm just going to have like 2 to 3 day wedding. People don't have to commit to more than that. But most people book a holiday and take advantage of the opportunity to really enjoy Andalucía. It's the kind of place where you can hire a car and really drive around to all of the different beautiful cities and just really envelop yourself within the culture and just enjoy it so much. And the great thing about what our company does, the Boutique Wedding Co, is that we really, really stick to the areas that are really authentic. So we try and steer away from, you know, the kind of like chips and eggs of the Costa del Sol, and take people to Jerez and Seville, where you really have got like the deeper Spanish culture, and they can really enjoy something unique and for one time in a lifetime only.
Yes. And so for like, if you've got a group coming in, let's just say, do they choose like a sunset, a sunrise? Is there a time of day that's popular? I know for me, normally it's around sunset. Probably the same for you.
Yeah, definitely. With the heat, it has to be, really, because if they want to party and they like to party late when they come to Spain, we really need them to be kind of like an hour into dinner by the time the sun sets, also for photographing at a good time at the end of cocktail. So we tend to have weddings at around sort of like, obviously the sunset changes quite drastically here in Andalucía, because at the moment it's 6:15, but in high summer it's 10:15 at night. So we've got this huge window. We have, in the midsummer, we have like a ridiculous amount of like daylight. It's like really incredible. So it's really beautiful. So we tend to have weddings sort of like from around 5 to 7 or 8 p.m., you know, kind of start time. And then the later they start, the later people party. So people here, and this is a massive thing for our US clients, they can party till like 2, 3, 4, 5 a.m.
Oh my goodness.
And then the other massive thing that we find is that they can hire a venue for like a day or a couple of days for like 10k euros. Whereas in the US and the UK, that's for like, okay, from 12 o'clock midday until 11 p.m. at night, and then you've got to get out.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. So yeah, if you want that party to continue for days, you need to go visit Lucy.
I won't be there all night.
And for things happening, do you have festivals in that area that people can tie like wedding weekends to? Like you were just saying, a lot of times people will extend and make a vacation out of it. Are there any certain times of year that you recommend are to stay away from or to actually visit?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of kind of like parties that happen in Spain. I think Spain has got more bank holidays than any other country in the world. As a wedding planner that works with US and UK clients, I never ever take a single one of them. I also don't even take the English one, so I don't get bank holidays anymore. It's just like, it's crazy. But you've got Semana Santa, which is Easter. And this is a massive festival in Andalucía in particular, because Andalucía is very Catholic. So, for example, in Seville, Malaga, well, most big cities, the streets are lined with barriers and chairs for people to sit for hours and hours to watch these Catholic processions with candles, and they're carrying the virgins, and it's all very important in the culture here. Mm-hmm. But it can make it quite busy during Easter, and it can make it more expensive. Then you have the ferias, and the feria is like the spring party of the towns. So when it's feria, once again, it gets very busy in the cities. So Seville's feria is very famous, and I think it's around the end of April usually. And the hotels can get booked out. It gets very busy, but it's also a good time to go, you know, to really like get into the culture of Spain and Seville, you know.
That's amazing. That is so amazing. So do you find yourself doing a lot of church weddings?
So I've started to say I don't do church weddings because personally, for me, it's not something I enjoy. It's something that is extremely stressful as a planner here in Spain. Okay. Not only having to deal with the Catholic Church, which is like archaic. It's 40 years behind the UK, America, and Ireland. It's just crazy. It's very difficult to persuade them to allow foreigners to marry here. Now, the only clients I've got marrying in churches, so we did one last week, and we're doing one in 2 years' time, and they're coming in January. But these people speak Spanish. They are people with Hispanic backgrounds living in New York who are coming here, and we have to go with them to meet the priest and ask the priest with that person if they can get married here. If I go, the priest says no. So it's like, it's really hard. So we started to step away from it a few years back, but we haven't completely done it because I just fall in love with the clients on the calls, and then I really want to work with them. So I end up like saying to Jesus, I'm really sorry, I've got a church wedding booked. You're going to have to deal with a priest. So we did one last week, and actually it was a beautiful ceremony. It was completely in Spanish. And this is one of the things that a lot of our clients don't get. They think that they can have a full English ceremony, and that is only the case in a few churches in the Costa del Sol, where I personally don't work, but I can always recommend people.
Understood. It is very challenging. I've come across the same thing, particularly with the Catholic Church. Other denominations, I don't seem to ever run into that issue, but they are quite strict.
Yeah.
And often it is no. I have had a few instances where they've actually brought their own priest in from home.
Yeah.
But that's still a process, as you know, to come into another church is still a process, but that has helped in the situations in the past. So it is challenging. So for people watching, you do need to understand that process is one that is not a fast process.
No, it's really complicated, and it can be stressful because the reason people want to get married in a church is so they can have a legal ceremony here, because otherwise in Spain it's just a blessing. You can't legally tie the knot. But the ceremonies that we have are as meaningful, if not more meaningful, than the legal part, and they're beautiful because they are handcrafted by celebrants who really listen to what you want, really listen to you and your relationship, so that's really beautiful. But with the church weddings, the paperwork that has to go into it is really complex. It's like a file this big, and it's a process beforehand and after as well. It takes like maybe 6 meetings in total for us to get the paperwork sorted. So we have to charge more for church weddings, because it's extra time. And with the cities that we have to travel to, it's a lot of extra time. It's extra days, complete days out. So it's really complicated. So yeah, definitely best to opt for a nice blessing in a beautiful venue, personalized ceremony, all about you.
Yeah. And we always suggest to perhaps get married at home in your home church, if that's, then that also sometimes eases the pain with parents who really are like, what do you mean you're not getting married in the church you grew up in?
Yeah, completely. That's what I've said as well before. And I think that really, a lot of the times I find that when some couples who want a church wedding isn't coming from them. It's coming from the parents, and they're doing it because that's what the parents expect of them. So yeah.
Family tradition, or the grandparents. I find it's a lot about, the grandparents wanting to be present for that. And so that's why a lot of times with destination weddings, grandparents are unable to travel, especially nowadays.
Yeah.
And so the little small intimate ceremony at home in your home church just makes it easier on the other end, like in Spain or wherever they're choosing to travel to. So that's what we do. We figure things out, right?
Yeah. Last week we had an 85-year-old grandma from New Jersey in Seville at the wedding, and I was just like, wow, she's incredible. She could barely walk.
That's amazing. I know,
unbelievable. All that way for the wedding.
Wow. Oh, I love that. What are some of your favorite memories of weddings, or in Spain or anywhere that you've planned?
So many moments. I mean, I'll always remember the very first wedding that we planned. And it was really funny because it was 50 degrees in the sun.
Ooh.
I'm not joking. It was 50 centigrade in the sun. So we had everybody luckily set up in the shade. But I remember them starting the ceremony and Jesus and I high-fiving like, yay, we did it. That was at 6 o'clock. We ended up getting out of there at 2 a.m. So we hadn't quite done the job yet. But no, I mean, there's been so many. There was an Irish couple that came a couple of years back, got married in this beautiful castle in Malaga that we love. And she was like, oh, my family are in a folk group. We want them to sing. I was like, perfect. So she's like, there's 20 of them. I'm like, okay, no problem. And her dad and her mum were in the group. I have to say, this folk group were amazing. The family was from Northern Ireland. And after it, I was like, I'm moving to Northern Ireland so I can join the folk group. It was just insanely good. And I was just stood there at the side trying not to sing along. But it was such brilliant singing, and I loved it so much. So yeah, that's probably one of my favourite moments of any wedding, and that was Enya and Hugh, and that was just like, I loved it. It was such a glorious day. So yeah, they'd flown in a comedian from Ireland who was very famous, and I had to bring him in halfway through dinner as a big surprise. So I was having to keep it a big secret. So we are the keepers of secrets at weddings, aren't we, for our brides and grooms?
Oh my goodness. Yes, I've got a story I'll share another time that I know I'll never have this experience again. So it was a once in a lifetime thing for me, but secrets are really hard because, we're supposed to be over communicating to everyone. And when you have a secret, it's like, oh, I can't put that on the timeline, or, it's challenging.
Yeah. Or you're meant to only email the bride and you end up emailing the groom as well.
Yeah. Yes. It's a lot of moving parts we as wedding planners do for our clients.
Completely.
We love. So you have castles, you have beaches, any other particular spots in Spain that you love that you would suggest to your clients?
Yeah, I really like suggesting countryside locations because it means they can party all night if they haven't got any neighbours. And most people really want to have a late night party. And because we start late because of the heat, it makes sense. So we've got lots of beautiful cortijos, haciendas, which are like farmhouses, but then they've been renovated to be lovely for weddings. But they have beautiful extensive gardens with lots of different areas that you can do things. So I love it when a venue has a good flow. And for me, that's always a priority when a client is choosing a venue, that it's got enough space, it's got the right facilities, that it's got a good flow, and obviously that it's a beautiful backdrop for the wedding as well.
Yeah, you have an eye for that too, as not only as a planner, but with your background in photography. So you're probably hang on their walls.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, we it's people always say to us, and I'm sure you've heard this 1,000 times, what do we do for pictures? What's our photo list supposed to look like? And I'm like, what do you want to hang on your walls? It's, it's what you want. It's not, we can advise you in a lot of things, but at the end of the day, we really want you to pick what's important to you.
Yeah.
And I guess that's just, it's sometimes challenging because people really want direction, which is why they are coming to us.
Yeah, completely. But we don't want to dictate to them because we want them to have a unique experience that is about them.
Exactly.
And that's important. But I think it's about being intuitive and really listening to them and knowing when to step in and help them. Because I've got some clients that are useless at making decisions. They struggle with decision making. So I have to almost just instinctively know what is the right decision for them and push them towards that, because otherwise it's never going to happen. And they're frustrated, they're overwhelmed. I think overwhelm is a big thing in wedding planning if you're not managed right. But some of them, I find, they overwhelm themselves by wanting to do everything at the same time. And I have to say, hold your horses, slow down. We have a process and we need to stick to it,
Yeah. That's very key, is to make sure they're not, and one step at a time. Let's pick a date, let's pick a location, and let's just go from there.
Exactly. This is it. The wedding's in 2 years' time, but they want to talk about the flowers. And you're like, well, look, flowers we do 6 months before because your decisions might change. And I've had this before where, in the early days, I do styling and design too early, like a year before. And then come 6 months before the wedding, it's like, oh, I've changed my mind. Instead of pure white, I just want lots of color. So at that point, then I was like, okay, styling and design happens 6 months before your wedding. So yeah.
Because the trends change, right?
Yeah,
and so
exactly.
All they do is sit and watch the internet now, read magazines, and as the trends change, their minds change. And so you're absolutely right. And it's hard because when you send out like invitations or pick a venue, you're trying to set a tone. But that also, it can shift a little bit. So
definitely, it's tough. It is tough. I think going with classic and kind of timeless style is so important with weddings. And I think I learned that myself at my own wedding because I wore a dress that was quite fashionable for the time. It was, number one, extremely uncomfortable. Like, it was this bodice covered in jewels. And it completely tore apart my underarm, like here, so, these are things that you don't think of when you're buying a dress. And it had this front on it that was really fashionable then, but then I wouldn't even want to show you my picture now. You know what I mean? So I think timeless dresses are so important. And then the thing is that once they've got their dress, their style of their wedding and tone of the wedding could change as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you have to share a picture of your dress now with us. Like I'm going to have to just post it on your episode because people are going to be dying and stalking you to see that dress.
Oh my God. Oh my God. No.
I also think it's important, and I know you've been through this, where people love those beautiful, like long trains and bustles, but they have no idea how long it takes to actually like do that work. Now it's a little bit easier because they're a faux, like, you zip them up and only some of them latch. But I've had brides that literally would take them almost an hour to just do up the back of their dress. And that, of course, factors into timeline.
Definitely. Well, we had about a 25-minute wait on Thursday, and it delayed our timeline, which then they were very lucky that the hotel, it was Alfonso Trece Hotel, which is like one of the small luxurious hotels of the world group. It was actually in the series The Crown. They used it as the Beverly Hills Hotel. Rather than going to Beverly Hills to film, they just changed the placard on the front because they're very similar style on the front. So we were at Alfonso Trece, and luckily the maitre, who's the manager on the day that looks after the wedding, he actually allowed them to run half an hour later free of charge. But that can cost you. It can cost 300 or 600 euros to go over time. So it's really important to think about these things. And I think on the day, the bridesmaids are like, I've just got to go to the loo. I'm going to go change my shoes. I'm going to do this. Just wait for me for the speeches and stuff like that. And people don't realize that every time you decide to break from the flow, you're messing with the schedule. And a lot of people think, well, the schedule doesn't matter. But actually, it matters to the bride and groom if we don't want them to get charged extra on their wedding day.
Yes. And sometimes it's not just the venue, but sometimes they've only contracted for a photographer or a videographer for a certain amount of time, or even music. Yeah. And so it could actually really end up throwing multiple things off and not just the venue. So
yeah, completely.
I always tell people, you're not going to like me by the end of the wedding day, because all I'm going to continually do is tell you what to do at a time, because I'm just trying to get you through everything, and so it is hard. We do our very best, but we want them to get everything in that they can have for their day.
Yeah, completely. And there is a tendency as well for people to not realize that a flow is very important. And as soon as you spend too much time in one area on a day, it gets to the point where it stagnates a little bit, So we had our bride last week was loving having a picture taken. It was so funny. She was so sweet. She's like, I just love this. And the photographer was like, por favor, sálvame. Because he was taking pictures from the church, like all the way through the church, from the church back to the venue. Then we had a 1 hour break between the church and the cocktail to allow for people to get lost and what happens when you're in a city. So we had that hour. He was taking pictures. And then for the hour and a half of the cocktail, he did not stop taking pictures. Literally, it was like, ching, ching, ching. And normally he'll do reportage and then you do photos for the last 30 minutes. But no, it wasn't. It was pose group shots for the whole time.
Wow, that's a lot of photos.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot of content, which is great.
It's always interesting. And every wedding and every client is unique. And so those of you watching, we really want you to have a great experience. We want to give you everything that you want to have within reason. So it's great. And Lucy, I'm so excited that you were my guest today. And I hope someone out here watching will connect with Lucy and want to get married in Spain. I will tell you that when I do get married, I'm coming to Spain and you're planning my wedding.
Can't wait. Oh, and I'm going to come to the US and you're going to do mine.
Okay. I love it.
I want a destination wedding in Mexico, please.
Okay. That's fantastic. And
that would be really nice.
Tell us, everyone watching, how they can reach out to you and find you.
So the best way is by email. I'm pretty useless responding on Instagram on my wedding page for some reason. So my email is lucy@boutiquewedingsinspain.com. So it's pretty simple. You can contact me via the website, which is boutiquewedingsinspain.com, and you can put in a little application there. And I have a system set up so that people get sent a price list of like how much it costs to marry in Spain straight away, so that they can really start to get a picture and a feel for what the planning is and how much things cost here. Because when you're looking at a foreign country, it's even more overwhelming than your own home country, you know, like how much does a photographer cost, how much are flowers, all of those things. So yeah, so they can contact me there.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much. And to everyone watching, we hope everything with your wedding goes just as planned. Thanks, Lucy.
Bye-bye.
Bye.